This is AWS Cloud Practitioner Lab number 5, build a database server. So this lab is to build your database server and interact with your DB using an app. Lab overview and objectives are: this lab is designed to reinforce the concept of leveraging an AWS managed database instance for solving relational database needs. Amazon Relational Database Service (RDS) makes it easy to set up, operate, and scalable a relational database in the cloud. It provides cost-efficient and resizable capacity while managing time-consuming database administration tasks, which allow you to focus on your application and business. Amazon RDS provide you with 6 familiar database engines to choose from: Amazon Aurora, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, PostgreSQL, MySQL, and MariaDB. In this lab, you will be able to launch an Amazon RDS DB instance with high availability, configure the DB instance to permit connection from your web server, open a web application, and interact with your database. So when you start the lab, the following infrastructure is provided, in which we have region, 2 availability zones, virtual private cloud, public subnet 1, public subnet 2, private subnet 1, private subnet 2. By the end of lab, you will have this infrastructure. So there is going to be RDS DB master in private subnet 1, RDS DB secondary in private subnet 2. So task 1 is to create a security group for RDS DB instance. Let's go to VPC, security groups. Let's create security group. Description is permit access from web security group. VPC is lab VPC. Inbound rule, add rule. So the security group currently has no rule. You will add a rule to permit access from web security group. Type is going to be MySQL. Slash Aurora and source. Place your cursor in the field on to the right of the custom type SG. Then select the web security group. Place your cursor in the field to the right of custom type. Okay. Web security group. This configure the database security group to permit inbound traffic on port 3306 from any EC2 instance that is associated with web security group. Next is create security group. Task 1 is completed here. Task 2 is to create a DB subnet group. In this task, you will create a DB subnet group that is used to tell RDS which subnet can be used for the database. Each DB subnet group requires subnet in at least two availability zones. So let's go to RDS. Choose subnet groups. Create DB subnet. Name is DB subnet group. Description is DB subnet group. VPC is lab VPC. Scroll down to add subnet section, availability zone. Select the first two US East 1A, US East 1B. Expand the list of value under subnet and select the subnet associated with CIDR range. This and this. The subnet should now be shown in the subnet selected table. Choose create. Next, task 3 is to create an Amazon RDS DB instance. In this task, you will configure and launch a multi-AZ RDS deployment of a MySQL database instance. Amazon RDS multi-AZ deployment provide enhanced availability and durability for database instances, making them a natural fit for production database workloads. When you provision a multi-AGDB instance, Amazon RDS automatically create a primary DB instance and synchronously replicate the data to a standby instance in a different availability zone. Choose database, create database. If you switch to the new database creation flow at the top of the screen, please choose it. Select MySQL. Under template, choose dev test. Under availability and durability, choose multi-AZDB instance. Under setting, configure DB instance identifier. DB. I am copying all these names because it will help at the end. If the name is not exactly as mentioned here, the marks are not properly marked. So master username is main. Master password is lab password. Under DB instance class configure select bus table classes include T class and db.t3.micro under storage type journal purpose SSD allocated storage 20 under connectivity virtual private cloud lab VPC under existing VPC security group choose DB security group deselect default under monitoring expand additional configuration uncheck enable enhanced monitoring under additional configuration initial databases lab uncheck enable automatic backup uncheck enable encryption and create database. You will receive an error that mention not authorized to perform. I am create role. Make sure to uncheck enable enhanced monitoring in the previous step. Okay, if you receive this error, you will now need to wait approximately 4 minutes for your database to be available. The deployment process is deploying our database into different availability zones. So wait until info change to modify or available. Scroll to the connectivity and security section, copy endpoint field. So let's wait until this is being deployed. So database is created. Next is choose lab DB. And it says wait until info change to modifying or available. Scroll down to connectivity and security. Copy the endpoint field. Paste the endpoint value into a text editor. You will use it later in the lab. So next, task 4 is to interact with your database. In this task, you will open a web application running on a web server that has been created for you. You will configure it to use the database that you just created. To discover web server IP address, choose on the AWS detail drop-down menu above these instructions. Copy the IP address volume. So open a new web browser, paste the IP address. The web application will be displayed showing information about the EC2 instance. Yes. Choose RDS link at the top of the page. You will now configure the application to connect your database. Paste the endpoint you copied to a text editor earlier. Database is lab, username is main, password is lab password. Choose submit. A message will appear explaining that the application is running a command to copy information to the database. After a few seconds, the application will display the address book. The address book application is using the RDS database to store information. Test the web application by adding and editing, removing contact. The data is being persisted to the database and is automatically replicated to the second availability zone. Let's submit the work. So the score we got is 20 out of 20. So this lab is also completed. Thank you.